I thought it would be fun to go through my order history from Sézane from 2023 and see exactly how many items I tried on and kept last year. When I actually did the numbers, I was kind of shocked by how many items I had tried on from the brand. I expected it to be around 100. It was actually almost 160 items. Now, this doesn't include times when I ordered the same item in 2 different sizes or 2 different colorways, so it's not an exact calculation. I ended up keeping about 30 of those items, some of which I still own and still love, and some of which have already been sold on, so were definitely regretful purchases. So last year I kicked off with my first Sézane video on January 9th. This video has almost 30,000 views. It's one of the most viewed videos on my channel. When I was rewatching this video, I realized that almost everything I kept from this order I have ended up selling since. This is by far the video that has the most of these regret purchases in it. I don't know if it's just the quantity. I don't know if it's because it was a year ago. I've had more time to regret these things. I'm not sure. Either way, a lot of these items did not end up working out for me. One that did is the very first item I reviewed, which is the Betty cardigan. This was my first time trying the Betty a year ago to the month. I tried the rosewood one first of all, fell in love with it, and then during 2023 proceeded to try the ecru, the navy, the coffee and the garnet. The coffee one I got second hand, and then the rest I bought new. I love the Betty, I recommend the Betty. I still wear my Bettys all the time. So that's not one that was a regret purchase, luckily, and I'm really glad that January 2023 was my introduction to the Betty. Saying that, in this video there was a lot of knitwear that I tried on, I kept, and I have since sold. So I'm talking the Liar jumper. This one I got in a size medium. I instantly regretted it. I think I said in this video that perhaps I should have got a small, and I definitely should have got a small because I ended up selling this jumper because it was just too big. Same went for the Gabby jumper that I tried on in this video. It was just a little bit big, especially with that open back detail. As beautiful as that was, I found that because it was just slightly too large on me, the shoulders kept dropping and it just wasn't the most comfortable to wear. They were also both mohair polyamide wool blends, which I tend to try, at least nowadays, to steer clear of. I still do buy a couple. I bought the Othello in November or December last year, and that one was a little bit of an exception because I really do love it. I tend to try and stick as much as possible to their natural fabrics. So those were definitely regret purchases and have since been sold. I also tried the Matthew trousers in the rosewood in this video. Now, I remember when I filmed this, I forgot to include the clip of me trying them on, so there isn't actually a clip to show you, but it was my first introduction to the Matthew trousers, and I didn't end up keeping them, but I think that was the colour choice. I think the colour choice was where I went wrong, because if you've seen some of my more recent videos, you'll know I'm actually wearing them today, that I love the navy Matthew trousers. But I do think the navy colour makes them feel a lot more chic and a lot more wearable than any of the other colour options, including the rosewood, and I felt like these rosewood ones were a bit too loungy to be worn outside, which is why I didn't end up keeping them. Another pair of trousers I tried on in this January video were the Theophile trousers. This was my first try on of this style. I really liked it, and I would definitely be interested in adding Theophile trousers to my wardrobe in the future. They're a great pair of trousers. I thought they were really well made. They were way too long, so they definitely would have needed to be hemmed, but I didn't keep them in the end, and it's something that, looking back, I don't regret it because I don't really have the lifestyle to wear these trousers that regularly. They are quite a thick material. They're definitely more of like a workwear, office wear, corporate trouser. I generally prefer something a little bit more flowy, even if it's going to be in this material that is more formal. Something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more flowy, whereas these are definitely quite a thick wool. This video was also the video where I tried on the Sammy jumper and the nail skirt for the first time. This is a knitwear set that I loved for the first few months of 2023, and then I ended up selling in the second half of the year. And that's because I never loved the look of the nail skirt on my body type. I wanted to make it work because I love the idea of it, but actually in reality I always found it a little bit uncomfortable at the waistband. It's quite tight on the waistband, a little bit unflattering on the hips, and the Sammy jumper, while it was lovely paired with the nail skirt, didn't really pair that easily with other items in my wardrobe. I understand why they made the Sammy jumper that way, because that cropped look does work perfectly paired with the nail skirt, and it is supposed to kind of be a set. But if you want the versatility from the Stampy jumper, I always found that for me personally, with the kind of jeans and trousers and skirts I like to wear, it was coming up a little bit too short to be paired with them. They're not items that are bad from Sézane by any means. In fact, I regularly recommend them to people. They just weren't quite right for me. One top I did try on in this video for the first time and fell in love with, and I still own and I still love, is the Chloe shirt, or as it was known when I tried it on, the Chloe shirt. 100% silk with the ruffle collar. I tried it on in the rosewood. I really loved rosewood, I think, at this time of year, and I really do love it still. I really recommend the Chloe. I would love to get it in another colour. I love the navy version in particular, but yes, this was the first time with me trying that, and I still own that and I still love it. The other piece of knitwear that I tried on in this video was the Bettany jumper. I have since sold that one. I never loved the long line length of it. I think I mentioned this in my previous video. If you're choosing between the Betty and the Bettany, because they've just brought out a Betty that looks very similar to the Bettany, I personally would go with the Betty. I always found the Bettany a little bit harder to style in that it was longer but more fitted, so it fell a little bit awkwardly on the body. So that one has also been sold and is no longer in my wardrobe. Moving on to my second Sézane video of winter 2023, I reviewed my khaki Scott trench. I still love this coat. I still own this coat, and in fact I added the camel version to my wardrobe in, I think, about May, but I bought that one on eBay second hand. So I now have two Scott trenches. I still love them. I will be wearing them lots come spring. They're not a winter coat for me, but they will be perfect for spring, and I can really envisage these coats staying in my wardrobe for a long, long time. So definitely not a purchase I regret making. The next Sézane video that came along on my channel was January 28th, and it was another Sézane try on. I tried on, actually bought this mug then, so as you can see, I'm still using this and loving this. I tried on two blouses, the Gaia blouse and the Cassie shirt. I sent both of those back. They both came up way too oversized for my liking, even in my usual size. And then I also tried on this Julian jacket, which I think is the only item I've bought from the archives for the past couple of years. I was thinking that I hadn't bought any archives items during the last 2 years, but looking back, I remember this being on sale. It just wasn't part of like the flurry of the archives. I bought it quite a few weeks after the archives had launched, so it just happened to not sell out in that initial flurry. It was still available in a size small, and I decided to try it. And then I also tried on a few belts because I was trying to decide on a belt to pair with my dresses, and I ended up going with the Jones belt. Now, I still own this belt. I hardly ever wear it. In fact, I only really wear it with my Estella dress, which I'll get onto in a second. It's obviously a little bit of a garish print, and I still really like the print. I just don't get the wear out of it that I wish I did. Having said that, I'm just not a belts person in general, and actually one of my rules for my low buy this year, which I'll be talking about later, is not to buy any belts in 2024 for this exact reason. I often feel like, oh, that's a pretty belt, oh, I love the look of that, I love that on other people, but I never end up reaching for them because I guess I'm lazy. I don't like the feel of them. They're not the most comfortable things to wear, and I would always, if I can, I would always rather go without a belt. So I just don't get the wear out of them. So yes, I still own this belt, but no, I don't really wear it that often. In the next video, I did try on the Estella dress. This one I still own and I still love. I have to say I don't wear this as much as I should. I think it's because it's a long dress. I keep it in another wardrobe. I keep it with my coats because it is full length, and I forget it's there because it's not with the rest of my dresses. So I need to remind myself that I own this and wear it more regularly because I do really like it. I think it's a great versatile dress. I love a black and white floral, especially on this jacquard fabric. And I love this with tights and boots in the winter, and then with sandals in like the spring, early summer. So I do really like it, and I don't regret this purchase, but I just don't wear it as much as I should. And then I also tried on this indie skirt, which definitely caused some controversy on my channel. Probably one of the most controversial, divisive items I've tried on last year. A lot of people said they loved it. they really, really liked it, and then there were a few people that absolutely hated it. And I remember this video quite vividly because I got a lot of comments on this skirt saying it looked like a sack and it was horrible. And I actually still really like it. I think it's a nice skirt, but I didn't end up keeping it, partly because of the comments, to be honest. They kind of knocked my confidence in it slightly, which is fine. I didn't take it too seriously. I decided, because it was so expensive, it was a suede skirt, and it was also an item I was going to have to be really careful with and almost baby because it was suede and it was a light colour. I decided to send it back because I wasn't 1000% sure, and I don't regret that decision. I think I wouldn't have ended up wearing it that much, even though I did really like trying it on. And I think sometimes you do have to be really careful in not buying items for your fantasy self. I know a lot of people talk about this, but it really is true. That skirt definitely represented more of my fantasy style and my fantasy self. I would love to wear that on a daily basis, but the reality is I'm just not going to, because of the upkeep, because of, you know, worrying about it getting damaged, and also because I like to be comfortable, and I would much rather choose something like the Navy Matthew trousers in the merino wool most of the time over quite a rigid suede skirt. Okay, we're moving into February now, and this was when the See New York collab dropped. Like this video if you remember the See New York collab. How did you feel about it? Did you buy anything from it? I tried on a bunch of different items from the collab across 2 different videos that month, and I kept absolutely nothing from the collab. And the reason for that is often I find this happens with the collabs that Sézane do, because I like Sézane so much in their brand and their aesthetic and their clothes. When they collab with another brand, I usually don't like the items as much because they're not as Sézane as their regular collection. And I don't like the aesthetic of See New York as much as I like the aesthetic of Sézane. It's the same with some of the other collabs they've done. The Pangea collab that happened recently, I took absolutely zero interest in. I didn't even look at it because I knew it just wasn't my style. And also the Farm Rio collab, I did a video on that, which we'll get to, but again, I didn't end up keeping anything from it. The only top that I don't regret not buying, but I could have enjoyed and worn throughout the year, I think, if I'd have kept it, is the Flavy shirt, which is the plain denim shirt with the frilly collar. Probably the least See New York piece that I tried on, the least kind of eccentric and patterned, the most classically Sézane, and I do think I would have worn that a lot if I had kept it, but I decided not to. I do think that I kind of got swept up in the hype of the See New York collab, like a lot of people did. A lot of it sold out really quickly. A lot of people were like scrabbling to get items when they restocked or get them secondhand. And ultimately, I don't think it's that wearable for day to day. It's quite floral. Unless you have that very boho style, I just don't think you're going to reach for these items. And I can imagine a lot of people sold these on a few months later. And I actually continue to see this stuff come back in stock on the Sézane website. It might even still be in stock now, some of it, and I just don't think all of it sold in the end, despite the initial reaction being very positive. I think a lot of people bought stuff and then they returned it when they realised actually it wasn't quite their style. So after those videos, I had a real break for the rest of winter because I was probably sick of winter clothes and winter shopping. So I waited until May to film my next Sézane video. So we're definitely into spring now. And I tried on a bunch of spring items in this particular video. And I have to say, most of it I did not end up keeping. And looking back, most of it is definitely not my style. So I'm very glad I didn't. And I'm not even sure what I was thinking when I was trying some of this stuff on. I'm quite confused. There's a lot of like yellow toned florals that just did not look good on me, in my opinion. There's a lot of shoes that just weren't very practical or wearable for my everyday life, like these pink slingbacks and like these ecru sandals. I mean, they're pretty. I don't think they're bad choices, but just not right for my daily life. And then a few kind of just okay pieces, like this pleated skirt. I still like the look of this. It's simple enough that I probably would have worn it if I'd have kept it, but just not that interesting. And yeah, I didn't actually, looking at this list, I didn't keep any of these items. Looking back, I was definitely following trends, I was getting swept up in the new releases, and actually none of it really was particularly my style. It looks like in my next couple of videos after that, in May and into June, I was sticking a little bit more true to my style. I tried on a few really nice items actually. These denim Emilio pants I wanted to love. I liked the look of them from the front, but they just didn't fit on my waist. I had like a big waist gap towards if you turn to the side. So those ones unfortunately just didn't work out for me. I also tried on this sandy skirt, which I stand by. I think this is really nice. I don't love the length of it. I wish it was longer, and that's the reason I didn't keep it in the end. And it's the reason I probably wouldn't try the sandy skirt again, because I know it's just a bit too short for my preference. But I have to say, I think I've mentioned this before, if you are petite and you're looking for a skirt like this and you want it to fit a little bit longer, I've seen this skirt look beautiful on petites. I think it looks really elegant because it just does come, it hits at the ankle rather than mid-calf, which I think is a little bit more flattering. And this was the video I tried on my Isaiah dress as well. This is a dress that I still own, I still love, and I wish I got more wear out of. I think I wore this maybe once last year, maybe twice, but I have still kept it. It's away in storage at the moment, but I will be getting it back out come spring summer because it's beautiful. It's probably one of my favourite pieces I bought from Sézane last year, just not one of the most wearable. And I kind of knew that. I think I said that in the video when I was trying it on, where am I actually going to wear this? And that is definitely true, but I don't necessarily regret keeping it because I think it's a really beautiful dress. And I'm just gonna have to find occasions, like make up reasons to wear this dress this year. The one item in this video that I did want to mention, because it became one of my most worn items of 2023, is my Tabata skirt. This was the video where I tried on the rose print, I can't remember the exact name, but it's like a rose print Tabata skirt, fell in love with it, and I wore this all summer. I wore this at least 2 to 3 times a week, I would say, in the summer of last year. And even this winter, I've worn it sometimes. Definitely in the autumn, I wore it with suede knee-high boots. I liked that look. It is more of a spring-summer pattern for sure, but I love the silhouette of the skirt so much that I did try and make it work in the autumn winter. So this is definitely a purchase I don't regret, and a purchase I'm really happy I made, and one I'm so excited to wear again this spring summer. Okay, then we get into the Farm Rio collab, which I did touch on. I didn't keep any of the items in this video. I almost kept the top actually. I think in the video I initially said I was going to keep the top, and then after I'd filmed and edited it I decided not to keep it because I just didn't think I'd wear it. The top is definitely my favourite item from the collab, and again it's one of those items I think if I had kept I would have worn a few times, but I'm glad I didn't keep it because it's not quite right for my wardrobe. And I think that whole Farm Rio collab was just not quite right for my wardrobe. I live in the UK. It's about as far from Brazil as you can get in terms of the weather, the aesthetic, the location. So I just don't think these items look a little bit out of place in the UK. And even on holiday, they're not the kind of colours and patterns that I typically gravitate towards. So yeah, it was a bit of a flop for me. And again, I got a little bit swept up in the hype because I do feel like the Farm Rio collab was really hyped. And I just don't think it's really my style at all. Moving into summer, I only did about 2 Sézane videos that summer. I really struggle with summer style. I never like dressing in the summer. I find it really difficult. I never know what to wear. I find everything is just a little bit boring. You can't layer. I tried on another Tabata skirt, which I wish I had kept. This really gorgeous orange and green floral one, similar to the rose print, but a little bit brighter. I didn't keep this in the end because I wasn't sure whether I could justify having 2 Tabata skirts in my wardrobe. But looking back now, in hindsight, at how much I wore the rose print Tabata last year and how excited I am to wear it this year, I definitely feel like I could have justified another Tabata skirt. And it would have made a far better purchase than some of the other things I bought in 2023. So if they bring out any new versions of the Tabata this year, then it may make its way onto my wish list. This Layla dress was one of my favourite things I tried on in 2023. Beautiful. I decided not to keep it, which was a really hard decision because I did really like it and I do still really like the look of it, but I just felt like it wasn't quite right. I was looking for a dress for a wedding and it just wasn't quite right. It was a little bit too low at the back to be appropriate in my opinion for a wedding, and that was the only time I was really ever going to wear that. So reluctantly I sent that one back, but I loved the colour of it so much. I also tried on the Jenna dress, which beautiful, similar in some ways to the Isaiah. I didn't keep this one because I'd already kept the Isaiah and I just knew in my gut that I probably wouldn't wear it that much. but looking back at the footage, I kind of have a pang of regret of not keeping this dress because it's so beautiful. I know a few people didn't love it. They said it wasn't super flattering because it is quite tight fitting, but I still loved it. I didn't really care. I thought it was an absolutely beautiful dress. I loved that it was slightly lighter, more close to white, as opposed to the Isaiah is definitely more of like a yellowy ecru. It's just the occasions to wear these kind of dresses are unfortunately far few in between in my life, so having two, I just knew even then that I could not justify. But yes, I did really love this dress and I still love it looking at it. Maybe one day I'll buy it secondhand. Come July, I did one more summer Sézane video before I got absolutely sick of summer style and went straight into autumn. So I tried on a few more dresses, most of which I didn't keep. Some of my favourites were this blue dress. I think this was called the lady dress, if I remember correctly. Gorgeous open back. Again, I was so close to keeping this and I kind of almost regret not keeping it, but ultimately I decided to send this one back. Again, it was another contender for a wedding guest dress and it didn't quite make the cut, although looking back I kind of wish I'd worn this actually, because I think it's a really chic, really timeless, really simple dress from the front, but with that open back detail it just adds so much, and I think it's definitely easily re-wearable. It's not so formal that you couldn't wear it to other occasions. So yeah, that one was really nice and I almost regret not keeping that. And then the other dress that I did keep from that video is this dress. Can't really pronounce the name of this one, but this became one of, if not my most worn dress of summer 2023. I am so excited to get this back out and wear it come this summer as well. It was quite a surprise purchase for me. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. It's not my typical colour palette, especially being on a black background, but I loved this dress on. I loved the shape of it. I loved how flattering it was. I think it was just perfectly shaped for my body type. I think for anyone who is smaller on top and bigger on bottom, this kind of shape and a halter neck is perfect, and it definitely represents a kind of style of dress that I'll be looking out for more in the future, because I loved wearing it every time I wore it. I wore it on holiday, I wore it in the UK, and as I said, I would definitely be wearing it again this summer.